morning, everybody. Dr. Gabriele Jasper MD, interventional pain physician, on Painless by Dr. Jasper.
Yeah.
And I'm here with Jeremy.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're going to talk about interventional pain. I always like to talk about what the difference of what actually is interventional pain. I like to give the definition as we do things to get rid of the pain generator.
Right.
But in order to do things to get rid of the pain generator, you have to have that ability to find where the pain generator is.
Right.
And a lot of us don't know how to distinguish between different pain generators because of the fact that a lot of these pain generators cause the same kind of pain. So we have to act as a detective.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it sometimes with, in the realm of medicine, to tell patients that sometimes it's a process of elimination and it becomes difficult, but at the same time, fun. You're trying to
challenging.
it's challenging and you got to, like putting a puzzle together.
Right. Solving a mystery.
And I've been doing it for probably 26, 27 years. And I've developed I don't know, maybe not a talent, but I guess you got to start with some type of ability.
Sure.
But over time with experience and going through the history of patients' problems and how you manage to find out where the pain generator is, I've got pretty good at it. And I compare it to a lot of other doctors that lose their patients to me because they just keep working on the same pain generator, and it's not that.
Yeah.
It's something else that causes the same type of pain. You have to have abstract thinking. You got to think outside the box. It's not all textbook. In fact, one day if I have time and somebody can help me, I'm going to write my own textbook.
That'd be great.
Because when somebody's in a specialty field for so long, you develop your own technique that works. And that technique is what other doctors could use to make their practice better.
Yeah.
But, you do your typical, just a little basic overall. I do epidurals just like most pain doctors do. And I treat arthritis of the spine by ablation or medial branch nerves. And we do stuff like, I saw an unbelievable commercial the other day about this, it was animation. They put an animation thing on there about how they treat arthritis of the knee.
Really?
We do these steroid injections, we do regenerative medicine,
Right.
and we put in the lubrication, the gel, as they call it.
Yeah.
Which works, if your knee's not that bad yet.
Right.
When it's bad enough, and this is all just to delay the inevitable, which is probably a total knee one day, or they have these new techniques with partial knees and stuff like that. I don't know much about that, but I know how to treat the knees before they need that. And I'm the one that could tell you whether you need a new knee or not. But this commercial was the animation.
That's good.
Was a
if you need a new knee, if you need a new knee or not.
You need a new knee or not.
That was good. You did that like that, man.
You need a new knee or not a new knee or not. Anyway, this commercial was done very well. In fact, we might have to copy it to a certain extent because it's very what's the word? Inviting, and it's an animation where they actually, you could see the animation of putting the needle in the cartoonish type animation knee, and it just fills up, and the way it filled up the knee, which is not actually probably what it does.
Right.
It fills it up, and you can see like open up, extend, and fill, like it looks like you're putting a big cushion in that knee.
Right.
And just by looking at it makes your knee feel good.
Yeah.
And they have videos of people.
But a layman watch that, they'd have absolutely every idea what's going to happen and how to and how it's going to be done.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's an animation. You can make it look as desirable as you want.
Right.
And it's not lying. It's not a fake. It's a little exaggerated, but that's what it does. And that's what we do. We do the same thing, and because advertisement works, and we know it. Sometimes you have advertisement that's false, and the fact that people spend millions of dollars on advertisement, that doesn't work, but guess what? They're making money on it. So you got to be careful. You got to do your own research.
Yeah.
Like if you see my shows and my commercials and on TV or whether it's on the radio, if you do the investigation, you do your research, it's legit.
Mm.
And some people don't even do it. They look at these like there was this walker for somebody with spinal stenosis that bends over all the time. A person with spinal stenosis cannot walk straight anatomically. We put spacers in that make the spine lean kind of forward. And by doing that, your body doesn't have to lean forward. It automatically does, and you stand up straight.
Yeah.
It sounds counterintuitive, but that's what it does. But if you get, like my father bought it. I think he spent like $75 or $100-something for this thing. And what it is you put your elbows on it, and it's like you put your elbows on it, and it forces you not to lean forward.
Huh.
Put it together. It's a beautiful thing. They
Really?
give you like 30 days to return it, all those options. And it's just not anatomically designed properly. The more you stand, the more straight you stand, and the more straight you walk, the less you can walk, the less you could stand, because it closes down the central canal.
Right.
So I want to get that because I can't stand up straight, and they get it.
So whoever designed it was designing it to prevent people from having to lean over.
Yeah, and it was a great marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Because people who lean forward because they have to in order to walk, they don't realize that they're leaning forward in order to walk.
Right. If the designers knew anything about their condition, they would have done something different.
No. They listen. I'm sure they have plenty of experts telling them, say, listen, that's not going to help the patient. but you get the marketing person that looks at it and says,
he'll sell it, man. Yeah.
This is going to sell because these people do not want to lean forward.
Yeah.
So they're all going to buy it. And by the time they realize they can't use it, it'll be past the 30 days to return it. And how many people are really going to return it?
Yeah.
So ultimately, they're making millions of dollars on this thing. I haven't seen it on the television lately. Maybe somebody cool on it.
Maybe.
But meantime, my father got one sitting. He's got two of them sitting there. And not two the same way. He's got one that actually helps a walker that you lean forward.
Yeah.
That's what walkers are. It's like a simulated shopping cart.
Right.
And the people who can't afford walkers walk around with shopping carts.
Yeah.
With spinal stenosis.
And that's why you see them on the side of the road.
Yeah, I almost took a picture. I almost took another picture and put it on Facebook. There must be somebody around with spinal stenosis.
That's it.
You see a lone shopping cart by itself.
I go when I go out with my family, and we just go anywhere, like say McDonald's. We sitting down, and I'll see people walk in, and I whisper to them, "Spinal stenosis over there. See that? See how she's walking?
Yeah.
All hunched over, and rushing to the table to have a seat. That's spinal stenosis. Doc could take care of that right away." And I want to thank the manager over.
When you're talking, you can switch it to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
People know what you look like.
No, I want to. I went to Sweeney's this week, and the manager rushed over as soon as I just walked through the door, and he shakes my hand, and he's like, "Oh, I see you on TV all the time. You're with Dr. Jasper." And I says, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh," he says, "My wife, she lives with such pain, and like, please lay it on the line to me. Is this a good guy? Is this a good guy?" And I'm like, "He changed my life, man. He changed my life. You send her to him, and her life will be better in some way or another." Okay. And he was like shaking my hand again. He's, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much." But that's how it is. People see you on the TV, and they remember that stuff. That's what marketing is. I mean, that's good marketing.
Yeah, it's good marketing. And we have something to back it up. We can fix it.
Yeah. It's like so the marketing gets them in the door, and you just take care of the magic after that.
Well, the best marketing we have is the fact that when we fix patients up, they go out and tell their family.
Yeah, word of mouth. Yeah.
That's still, no matter how much marketing we do and put the information out there, that's still our highest volume of patients coming in by word of mouth.
Yeah.
And that tells a lot about a doctor.
Sure.
And also when you have doctors sending you their family members for doing minimally invasive spine surgery that I do. And when they need it, they come themselves, even though they don't do what I do. You know,
Right.
doctors that are spine surgeons, you know, neuro-orthopedic spine surgeons send me their family members.
Yeah.
Because they know it's good. They don't want to do it a lot of times because, number one, it's a very shallow learning curve. And when you say shallow learning curve, you know, learning curves can go high or they can be shallow. And when they're shallow, that means it takes a long time to get good at what you do.
Right.
Other things like, you know, an inguinal hernia repair or a gallbladder removal, it's a steep, shallow curve. In fact, we used to joke around when I did surgical residency, you know, learn one, do one, teach one.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's very steep. It's easy to learn.
Yeah.
And there's so much repetition. And whereas minimally invasive spine surgery, especially endoscopically, that is difficult because you have to have a way of looking at something two-dimensionally in a three-dimensional way.
Yeah.
You know, very few people could do that. And you have to have hands that usually people are good at computer games.
Right.
Good at this. So the future population of doctors who don't go out and play anymore, they're on the computer, probably going to be pretty good at this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But so it's a shallow learning curve, and people ask me, why do you do it? And since you don't get paid much for it, is because it's not as hard for me to do it because I've done thousands of them.
Yeah.
And whereas other doctors might have done, you know, 50, 100, 200, and they haven't done a lot lately because it's probably been 8 years or longer that we haven't really been paid much. In fact, if I do this on a patient, especially a Medicare patient, I got to charge a patient a little extra because there's certain things that Medicare doesn't pay for that I do.
Yeah.
And if I don't do that in the operation, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So they don't recognize the code. So we have an advanced directive that we make the patient aware that Medicare does not pay for certain things that I do. In other words, they don't recognize the code, so it becomes legal. You can't do, in other words, if Medicare says, I'll pay for this, you can't charge a patient, otherwise they'll throw you out of the system.
Right.
You know, and that's part of the deal that you make with Medicare. You don't want to, you can't, that's why Medicare pays for it, and if they pay for it, you can't charge them anymore. Yeah, but if you don't, you know, I did for a long time, I was doing these procedures because I love doing them and they work great. The patients love them. It's only a 4-millimeter incision. You go in, you see the herniation, you pull it out, or a bone spur, you trim it down, and great results. But at one point, I think it was 6 months I was doing it, paying $2,000-$3,000 out of my pocket to do it until somebody.
That's a lot.
Somebody brought it to my attention. I said, Doc, you know, you're doing this. You're paying money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Listen, I love doing it, but I don't love doing it that much. I'd rather spend the money on some kind of race car or go to the rides in Seaside or something.
Right.
But that's medicine. Medicine. You know, another thing I wanted to talk about today is I wanted to talk about the fact that a lot of people I notice we're not quite as busy as we normally are because this time of the year,
Right.
you know, patients come in and say, "Hey, doc, listen, can you do something for me? I'm leaving for Florida," and we talk about this.
Yeah.
Especially senior citizens that go down there every year around this time. Some of them now are going later.
Yeah.
They like to stick around for the family, do Thanksgiving and even Christmas, and then they shoot down there for 3-4 months.
Right.
But the ones that go down early and they know that they're going to have pain during the time that they're down there, now's the time to come in before you leave, especially a couple of weeks before you leave. It gives us a chance. But if you come a week before, we still might have a chance to, you know, examine you, do a complete history physical examination, and also look at the MRI. You know, if you don't have one, that's going to take probably a week to get.
Right.
So you got to plan accordingly. If you don't have an MRI, it's going to take a little bit longer. We got to read it. We got to diagnose where the pain generator is, and we got to figure out how to treat it, which usually I can figure out the same day.
Yeah.
We can't do injections the same day. We used to be able to, but because of the way medicine is today, they won't pay for it if you do it the same day that you come in to visit. So don't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah.
So if you, and another thing is,
which is just as frustrating to you as it would be to the patient, you know?
Yeah. I mean, listen, if a patient is in severe pain,
yeah,
and this has happened before, but I'll have, if they're in severe pain, I'll do the injection that day. Of course, I'm not going to get paid for it, but we're not going to make them go. But then the insurance companies have won.
Yeah.
They're getting you to do what they want you to do. Now they don't have to pay for it. If you do it the next day, they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But if you do it that day, what doctor in the right mind has any kind of ethics and compassion is going to make a patient go home in severe pain if they know that day they can get rid of the pain.
Right.
So you got these big CEOs of the insurance companies, and they're aware of that. You know how much money they must save a year?
Yeah.
This week, I probably did 3 or 4 of them for free
Right.
because they had so much pain. You think about 3 or 4 each interventional pain or pain doctor in the United States that does that. How much money are they saving?
Right.
They're no dummies. They're saving millions of dollars, and it goes right into their pockets to pay the CEOs and everybody else.
Right.
And who suffers? Patients don't
Patients.
suffer.
No.
No, because they feel good.
Yeah, that's right.
I just did it. Who suffers? The
Yeah.
practitioner, the doctors. We need this money to pay our overhead because the overhead ain't cheap these days.
Right.
A lot of doctors going out of business because the insurance companies are cutting back, and they're not paying you. They don't, especially Medicare. And Medicare always trying to cut back every year. Well, cut back. You got to go along with the inflation.
Right.
With cost of living, they don't
Yeah.
even do that. Forget about all the other major medical insurance companies. I'm not even going to mention the names because that's probably not right.
Right.
And I'm not that controversial. All right, maybe a little bit.
Little bit. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But that's, listen, I'm not crying about it. I enjoy my job every day. I go to work and I say to myself, I love my job.
Yeah.
Because you might have somebody that's difficult to get rid of the pain. Ultimately, you do, at least to the point where the patients feel good and are happy. And it's all satisfaction on the patient.
Right.
And then you come to work every day, you might see 20, 30, 40 patients a day. And the majority of them, like, I'm 100% pain free. It's not good for job security, but it's good ego boost, and the patients love you, and they go tell other people.
Right.
This is how you get that cycle where people come in and you take care of them.
Yeah. I can't remember who told me, but someone came up to me. I think it was one of my father-in-law's friends, and they said that they'd gone into Jasper Spine Institute, and they had Dr. Skoblar, right?
Yeah.
And they were saying, oh, well, no, it was his sister. He sent her in, right? Well, now she swears by Dr. Skoblar. She's telling all of her friends. She's so happy. She's like, no pain whatsoever. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you told me that. I says, he's going to want to know that, and he's going to be very happy by it,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about, like, being connected with these great people. You get those wonderful stories, those of lives being changed, and in such a better way. And that's why you love coming in. That's why you love coming in, because of that, and that alone.
Yeah. Something flashed into my mind before you said something.
Oh,
It flashed out, but not your fault. Just
yeah.
it must be age related.
I forget everything.
But it comes back.
Yeah.
Because you think about so many things you want to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
Even before the show and after the show, you think I'd be like a normal human being and maybe write a note
Right.
to tell me what, remind me. I used to do that.
Yeah.
But now we kind of shoot from the hip, and actually works out pretty good. So we talked about the patients that are going away, that they should come in. Oh, that's what I want to talk about.
Oh.
See, it comes back.
Yeah.
A lot of patients, they leave for Florida and they start, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months later, they all of a sudden start to have a lot of pain that they didn't anticipate. Well, what do? They go to a doctor down there that doesn't know them. They can't find doctors down there. And I hate to say it, but my sister's a doctor down there, and she knows the pain doctors in her area.
Yeah.
And they don't do much. Most of them are working for somebody. And when you got a doctor, no matter what specialty they are, and this is my opinion, I'm sure Dr. Barbara Snyder will back me up on this one.
Yeah, she's on in today.
Yeah. When you work for somebody, as she calls the God Almighty,
God Almighty,
right?
Yeah.
It's the administration that tells you what to do and what you can't do.
Yeah.
There's doctors that are leaving these big organizations, these big medical, multidisciplinary that doctors that are
Mm.
groups that are not even run by doctors.
Yeah.
And
These are places where like you may never see the same doctor twice
that's
or
true.
something like that. You don't get that individualized care where a doctor knows your history just by the look of your face.
Yeah.
You know, how you doing? Come on, sit down. It's been a while. You know, that kind of thing. You don't get that at all. It's just like that. And I always used to call it back in when we were on beach radio. I used to say it was conveyor belt medicine. You know, just
Yeah.
in and out, and that's that. That's the kind of place you're talking about.
Yeah, and they have a quota system.
Yeah.
Once you start with quota systems, because then they give you awards who did the most of this, or
Yeah.
who saved money on this, who does this and that, who doesn't do this and that. I mean, once you start that incentive, that kind of incentive where you got quotas,
Yeah.
then there's a problem. It's
Patients become statistics.
It's like you get the old
That
days
kind of
used to
thing.
get tickets at the end of the month, and they say drive slowly at the end of the month because the state troopers had to get their quota.
Huh.
I don't know if it was ever true.
Yeah,
but,
you can never get that. Yeah,
But I always drove slower at the end of the
I
month.
did too.
And
Yeah.
and luckily, and thank God, a lot of these doctors are leaving and going out on their own,
Right.
and they're leaving these big corporations and hanging their shingles like the old days. You don't hear, I'm going to hang my shingle. That's what the old doctors used to say.
Yeah.
That's what I said, and that's what I did. And here I am. I'm still with the shingle.
Yeah.
I got Dr. Matt Skoblar. He's helping me out a lot, to the point where he's good and he's a great thing for the practice.
Yeah.
Patients love him, and he's open minded to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's we always talk, and what's good about it is we talk about different cases together. We make sometimes a collaborative decision on what needs to be done, which helps you.
Yeah.
He's got good ideas. I have good ideas, and
he's been doing something pretty cool. We get a lot of leads, and be it people calling us and just making a standard appointment in that way. But we also get like emails in from our website, and because all of our advertising is advertising jaspermd.com. And so Dr. Skoblar has taken it upon himself to personally answer those emails. So for the first time, the first connection with Jasper Spine Institute, they're getting an actual doctor call them up, talk about what's going on with them, and bringing them in. I mean, and I think that is very unique, a very unique thing that he's doing, and a lot of people are just enjoying the way Dr. Skoblar does things.
We've always had that email there.
Yeah.
Just as just for curiosity,
Right.
I'm wondering, since he's been doing that, how much we technically lost in the past by nobody really. I don't know if there was nobody looking at the emails.
No, we would call until we got somebody, or a certain amount of calls becomes like enough already. So unfortunately we wouldn't connect with them, but we always did try, I think. I've been following that.
So it's working better now because the doctor's actually calling.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that, a doctor calling you, not like a person at the front desk or something like that. The doctor's calling you and talking to you about your pain, and you haven't even met them really. That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah.
So that's talk about a little bit about other stuff that I do. We elaborated a little bit on the endoscopic surgery.
Yeah.
And I had a doctor send me one of his good friends this week, who had a pretty big herniated disc at L5S1 on the right side, and to the point where it was making his foot weak, but he had no more pain. But he had the problem is he had surgery at one time before. He had like a hemilaminectomy, and that creates some scar tissue. However, I've done plenty of patients where I go in there with the scar tissue and work my way around it, and get in there with the 4 millimeter incision endoscopically, and you can see everything crystal clear, so you can see the scar tissue. Sometimes you slip right in and you dissect a little bit of the scar tissue, and there it is, the herniation. You pull it out. Other times, which is rare, you get in there and there's so much scar tissue that you get to the point you say to yourself, this is not worth the risk. The benefits do not are not worth the risk. So
Yeah.
you don't indulge in something that is too risky, but you don't know that until you get in there. So these are the things he explained to the patient ahead of time. I said, listen, if it is that bad in there, which it didn't look like it on the MRI,
Yeah.
but it's much different when you go in there endoscopically and you see everything right there in front of you because it's direct visualization. And I tell him, I said, listen, if I get in there and I think the benefits do not outweigh the risk, in other words, it's too risky to do this and to forge ahead, I'll abort the procedure.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to do that, but ultimately it's safer.
Yeah.
And so this way they're aware of that. They don't wake up and say, so how'd it go? Well, I tell them ahead of time and like I said, maybe in my career that happened twice. And like I said, I've done thousands of these, but you have to know a man's got to know his limitations. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. But you know what? What was its alternative?
Right.
The alternative is do it. Somebody wanted to take down his facet joint, which supports the spine, supports the vertebral body on that side. Just take it off, and they come in from the side, straight in, but take it off in order to get to that herniation.
Right.
Now I don't know how that's safer to do with all the scar tissue than what I do, but basically destroying the spine. And when they do that, and if they do get the herniation, they're going to fuse them because they just destabilize the spine.
Yeah.
So there's no self-supporting structures there anymore. So you got to put screws and rods in it, and that in itself causes its own scar tissue.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this probably, and if I don't, you remind me every time we do this talk or any kind of show, is that people need to realize that when you have a bad back, you got a bad back for your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's most of it genetic. And why do you have a bad back? Because you have degenerative disc disease. And once degenerative disc disease starts, it's like a bad knee. You got a bad knee, and it's going to be a bad knee until finally you need a new knee.
Right.
Right. And it might take longer or shorter time to get to that point. And when you fix your back, you could fix it. I say I could fix that.
Right.
Like if you got a herniated disc coming out of a degenerative disc, why did that happen? Because the wall, which is called the annulus, becomes weak and brittle. And there's tears that start to form. And when tears start to form, you lift something, you cough, you sneeze, all of a sudden, herniation squirts out. Right. And that herniation is a grizzle type it's a grizzle type tissue.
Right.
And it's hard. And then it gets caught between the bone and the nerve. And the nerve gets pushed up against the bone, and that's when you get sciatica.
Right.
And if it pushes hard enough, you're going to get weakness of your feet, your foot, your leg. And that's where it all starts. Now, when I say I can fix that, I go in endoscopically and take out that herniation. Guess what? You're cured from that particular problem. Pain is gone. You feel great. You feel like $1 million. But then maybe a year down the road, 5, 10 years down the road, that's degenerative disc disease. It's a progressive disease. It's going to get worse.
Right.
And when it gets worse, maybe another herniation pops out. And not only that, if you tend to have degenerative disc disease, you think you're just going to have it in one disc. I mean, you could have it in one disc. Like a young lady came, 28 years old yesterday, a friend of mine's daughter, who's also a friend of Gabriele's. She has one degenerative disc disease, which was from a trauma at L5S1. That potentially all the other ones are not going to go. She's always going to have a problem in that one. So, you take care of the problem, and then with continuation of the progression of the disease, something else is going to pop out.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of this story is that there is nothing in the world, nobody should ever say this to themselves, I'm going to go get major surgery and fix this once and for all. It ain't going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is if it's going to progress, just like we talk about, just like it happens, it's guaranteed it's going to get progressively worse. Maybe that particular problem they fix. But then when you have major spine surgery, and this is my opinion, you have major spine surgery with fusion, and then they put bone graft in there. You got scar tissue in there. Probably 9 out of 10 times or even higher, maybe 95 out of 99% of the doctors will say, listen, I really can't help you. The fusion looks good. Take the x-rays, CAT scans, everything. Fusion looks good. But now they have another problem at the same level or maybe a level above.
Right.
So what we do in practices like mine, minimally invasive, we take care of the problem at that moment without destroying other tissue, without burning your bridges, and giving you a chance that if it does progress and get something pop up in the future, you're able to go in there and take care of it again. So this is the theory now that a lot of doctors are starting to realize. It's maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance on a bad back. You're not going to replace somebody's spine like you replace a knee, shoulder, or hip. You can't replace it.
Yeah.
And it gets worse. The only thing at that time, you better hope you die of an old ripe disease
Right.
before it gets you
Yeah.
completely. But if you pick at it a little bit at a time, now, of course, some doctors might not agree with me, but the people who have this chronic back issues of the spine,
Yeah.
now in retrospect, if they're listening, they'll say, you know what, he's right. I've always had a problem with my back.
Yeah.
The ones that got major spine surgery are probably, most of them now are regretting it, not because the surgery was done badly, it's because it has progressed to the inevitable. It's going to get worse no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So that's why I say little is better.
Yeah.
Find a pain generator. If it's pinching a nerve, whatever's pinching a nerve, you take it out. And maybe 6 months, a year, 10 years down the road, something else is going to pinch that nerve or another nerve.
Yeah.
Find what's pinching it, you take it out.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
When this way back when you and I were just doctor patient, you actually said that to me. He says, listen, you got a bad back. That's it. You got a bad back and things are going to happen along the way,
You got to come to terms with that.
but like no true words were ever said. I felt good about it though, because you had just taken away all my pain, so being told that you've got a bad back at that point when you're feeling great. Okay. It's a better hit,
Well, you say you felt good about it. That reminds me a little bit. You can relate this to somebody who has an addiction problem, drug and alcohol. When they come to realize that this is, now there's different schools of thought on it, but I think, what is it? AA talks about, you need to accept what you have and you treat what you have.
Yeah.
You treat it like any other kind of disease, right? If you let it go untreated, you're never going to get better. So you treat it and you accept you have it and you'll do good for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Even with addiction. So,
Yeah.
it's a good correlation, but it's more hands-on, getting rid of the pain generator. So it's probably easier to treat addiction than it is a bad back, believe me.
Right.
Because, the evolution of a bad back could be pretty bad.
Yeah.
But especially if you do the wrong thing,
If
treat it the wrong way.
it felt good. I mean, I didn't, the words didn't bother me at that point because you just taken away, you fixed me. Right.
Yeah.
And then I knew I had this doctor who will take care of the upcoming that might happen because you have a degenerative disc disease and just a, in quotes, bad back. And I wasn't scared of other pain, because when you're suffering pain, you get, I at least I did anyway. I got this this sense where I did, people came up on me without letting me know. I got startled because it's, new pain is almost as scary as the pain you're complacent with. You already know. But yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Are you on the same tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm on the same track. The one that just went to the left.
I had a good thing too.
No, what you were trying to say is that you get nervous when a new pain comes along. What made me think about this was I had a patient the other day that had an MRI like 2 months ago,
Right.
maybe 6 months ago, which is a relatively new MRI. God forbid you ask for another insurance company to tell you go for a walk.
Right.
But this patient had a sudden onset of new pain because the patient, I think, fell. or lifted something heavy. I can't remember what it was. A new onset of pain in a different area. So you're looking at the old MRI. I gave him a shot that I thought would be the problem, and it didn't get any better. So what do? Send him for a new MRI because something new is in there. And so this way you don't have to. I'm just answering your dilemma.
Yeah.
Is like you don't have to be that nervous about it because we'll find it.
Yeah.
The patient's like, well, why would you want to send a new MRI? Because
that's what I
just
meant.
had one.
Yeah.
Because you need something new happen.
Yeah. You get you find a doctor that you can put all your faith in, which I do with you. And it's like what I always say, like you know that vodka, those old vodka commercials for Absolute Vodka, right? And it says car, this, that, and then very good doctor, priceless.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That you get that feeling, and you're not worried about future pain anymore because you've got somebody who's going to take care of it for you.
Yeah, that brings up another subject. I'm still very young.
Yeah, you are.
But I'm probably not going to be doing this for another 30 years, probably not 20 years. So that's why I decided to get an associate like Dr. Skoblar. And he's one of the reasons I picked him is because he's got an open mind and he likes these minimally invasive procedures and he's got good hands.
Yeah.
So he's going to be the one, maybe we'll get somebody else who knows, that will propagate this technique of treating patients with minimally invasive procedures. And he's into it. So, anything new that comes out, we discuss it, see if it's good. If it isn't, we throw it back out. If not, if it is good, we use it. We're going to have in the near future, we're going to have what we call as a cadaver lab course that, all the stuff that I know how to do, he's going to learn. And we're going to invite some other doctors maybe to come in and see how to do these minimally invasive procedures. And we use cadavers, human bodies, to practice.
Yeah.
You don't want to practice, especially with endoscopic surgery, on a live patient that needs surgery.
Right.
You got to pretty much have that down pat. So you got to do a bunch of courses, go see as many doctors as you can. And hopefully now, I was just talking to Rosalind that before COVID, every year I would go to 3 or 4 different conferences, whether it be in South America, Germany, Holland, Switzerland. It was always a good one in Switzerland. It was a small one, but it was right there in Zurich. And it was Zurich's a great town, a little expensive, but she has friends there. So I'm going to put this week, I'm going to start emailing some of my old friends saying, what happened to these conferences? They used to have a world conference for minimally invasive spine surgery.
Really?
And I was a keynote speaker at a couple of them. One that was in Brazil, Bahia, and the other one was in France. And I talked about I presented my cases for endoscopic surgery, and it's a great vacation / conference type thing. We had fun in France and down in South America, and we go to Germany. We used to go October to Munich, Oktoberfest,
yeah,
and that was fun. I don't. Too bad I don't know of any in Italy, but I'm gonna sure as hell look. And then I got a friend of mine in Barcelona that's older than me, has been doing it longer than me. Very experienced, and he's very smart, and he evolves with, the way we do endoscopic surgery, we tell you, is not the way we did it 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, it's much more, the instruments are better, and we just have developed techniques that are 100 times better, more efficient.
Yeah.
So we're going to start that again. That'd be nice. And it's just, and then what's good about it is everybody talks, and they love talking about it. I love talking about endoscopic surgery, especially with endoscopic surgeons.
Right.
And so we just sit there and have this discussion, like a round table discussion on what they do, what I do, what everybody does, and just we get better at it.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no insurance companies there to realize that this is the way to go for America. But yeah, so that we do that. Also, we talked about the spacers. We talk about now we go indirect visualization. We can go in there and actually take out the ligamentum flavum, which is a ligament that gets all bunched up and folding and causes central canal stenosis. a little technical, topic, but basically the thing that's in the center of canal, that's a ligament, pretty thick. It closes down the center canal. We can take it out. When we put the spaces, it stretches it out and flattens it out. It works tremendously, but that kills a few birds with one stone. It gets rid of the sciatica pain, the back pain, the arthritic pain. Whereas the other one, if it's real thick, you got to go in there and take some of it out before you put the spacer in.
Right.
I used to, when I used to pay for it, and probably the best way to do that is go in there endoscopically on the direct visualization and take all of that ligament out, which wasn't a big procedure. Technically, you got to know how to do it. You could hurt somebody if you didn't know how to do it right, but they don't pay you for it. And these new procedures are just as good, almost as good, and patients don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
They get and when the patients do pay for this procedure, and I'm talking about the endoscopic decompression of the central canal intralaminarly, which means from the back, you don't get paid that much for it. It's a lot of money for the patient, but for the doctor, for the risk that he has to take to do that,
yeah,
nobody wants to do it because it's stupid money.
Yeah.
It doesn't bear. Actually, you're probably breaking even. Now, who wants to do a technically difficult? It's not high risk if you know what you're doing, but the complications could be high.
Right.
Not that it's high percentage of having the complications, but when you do have a complication, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not like getting somebody a vitamin B12 shot.
Right.
What's the complication here? Maybe a little infection at the site. You're in the spine, so when you work in the spine, you have to be compensated for it.
Right.
People like, why do doctors make so much money? A mechanic the other day says to me, and I've heard this before, says to me, Doc, well, it was kind of like a thing that they say, like, you hear it along the line, being a physician, maybe a lay person, that this doctor did open heart surgery on a patient who was a mechanic.
Right.
Right. And he had to, do bypass grafts and maybe change a valve or something like that. Now, the mechanic came in and told the doctor, he said, you know what? I was working on a carburetor the other day and some parts of the car, and it's not too much different what you do and what I do. You know what the doctor said?
What?
He goes, try doing that when the motor's running.
That's great.
Right? Try doing that when the motor's running.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep the person alive. So it's
Right.
But so you're doing, and in order to get to where I am, or doctors that do what I do, or do other stuff that's technically difficult, where you need a lot of years of experience, you need a lot of training.
Yeah.
I mean, it all starts with people saying, well, how many years of medical school? How many years of training? I'm still training.
Yeah.
I'm getting to be up there, and I'm still training and learning new things. So
that's why it's called a practice.
Well, yeah, but the point here is that you're not paying for that 20-minute, half hour, 45-minute, 5-hour procedure.
Right.
That's not all you're paying for. You're paying for the skill, the experience.
Yeah.
The doctors, what the doctor's been going through all his life to get to that point where they have enough knowledge and enough confidence and technical skill to operate on you without hurting you.
Yeah.
It's got to be worth something.
That's a lot. Yeah.
They say doctors are greedy. Yeah, they want you to. Well, the other day when I told a patient that they weren't in severe pain, they needed a knee injection, and I do it in the side where I see patients in the office, and I was like, you have to come tomorrow or the next day because insurance companies don't pay for it. Doc, you just want to make extra money.
Oh my God.
We make extra money. The insurance companies are paying the same amount if you do it the next day. You get the shot, I don't get paid, and the insurance companies don't pay, so they won.
Right.
So, but if he was in severe pain, I would give it to him anyway.
Yeah, it just seems to me like that's like a term from a bygone age. I remember when I was a kid and we were all, oh, he's a doctor, he's filthy rich, this guy over here. You should see his house, I bet, and all of that. But like today, though, I would have thought people realized, the actual truth of that.
It's
I mean,
worse today.
yeah, it's
worse.
worse. It's not.
Patients in the old days respected doctors. Now they hate
Right.
them.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
this new community out there that probably basically hates anybody with any kind of authority.
Right.
Hate cops. I don't know, politicians, not too many people like them anyway, but you know, they hate doctors. They think doctors are not good people. You know?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. You know, I got a review the other day, and it wasn't a good review. We give mostly good reviews, but every once in a while there's these reviews that are ridiculous and off the wall.
Right.
But I think people out there are smart enough to realize that it's somebody disgruntled about money.
Right.
Because the review talked about me, it talked about my staff, it talked about this and waiting and all this stuff. And the worst part about it is the billing. The billing, they should fire them.
Oh.
You know, as soon as they mention billing, you know what that means?
What?
They probably billed them what they were supposed to bill.
Bill.
But
Yeah.
nobody wants to pay for it.
After the fact.
Yeah, and you hear my father, who just recently came down at 94, almost 95 in December, came down with COVID from going to, you know, the senior citizen outing type thing. They got the, you know, I hate to call it daycare, but
he got COVID from that. I didn't know that.
I noticed he had a sore throat, and they called him. They called him up and say, "Listen, now what we're doing now is we can't put our hands on you. Got to make sure you have your mask on. If you can't come down the stairs by yourself, we'll stay in there and help you and make sure everything goes all right. But we can't touch you because there's been an outbreak of COVID in the place."
Oh.
And just then, I saw he had a sore throat, so I tested him, and he was positive.
Oh boy!
He almost died, for God's sakes, in 24
Jesus.
hours. But you know, Josie, you know, prescribed this medication for COVID, because I don't remember the name of it, but it knocked it out within 24 hours. He was better.
Yeah.
Thank God, he would have died.
Oh my God!
What was I leading up to?
I don't know. I got all upset about your dad.
Yeah, well, he's better now. He's still coughing like crazy, but he couldn't even walk.
Oh, Jesus.
95 years old, that knocks you down.
Yeah.
But what the heck? I was leading up to something.
Yeah.
If anybody's out there and can call
us up.
What were we talking about?
What were we talking about?
Oh, I know what it was.
Oh, thank God.
We had a complaint. The complaint about
that's
billing,
right. Yeah.
Billing. So you know what happened was, you know, they have you know, they have deductibles.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you get out of network benefits with a deductible of $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000.
Right.
I could do 100 procedures on you and never get paid a dime because you didn't get a good enough insurance. Not that it's your fault, because insurance companies, the insurances are expensive. So you try to get away with the minimum amount of payment. Yeah. And then what happens? You get what you pay for. You're still paying a lot, but you're not getting much. You got to pay a lot. And then you get something. And your co-pays will be less and your deductibles will be less. And the doctor, legally, he can't or she can't, you know, discount the deductible or the co-pays. You have to charge a patient for that. You know, of course, we work with them. And if a patient sincerely can't afford it, then they sign a letter of hardship. And there's ways you can get around that. If somebody says, you know, you can't, listen, you get insurance, patients are sick, you know, and they need to be treated. And I'm not going to throw them out of the office. So I'm going to treat them. And we're going to work with you. If if you got a fixed income or you just don't make that much, you got a big family, you know, we work with these people.
Yeah. We
work with them. We're not going to, you know, like I say all the time, we're not going to destroy you. We're not going to, you know, take 100 years to pay us off. Who cares? You know, we're just legally, we got to bill you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's the problem with complaints. But like I said, somebody listening to the complaint, or not the review, the poor review, when they're listening to it, you know, think about this. They're not stupid, these people listening. As soon as they start hearing complaints about billing, chances are they're just complaining about that, and they got to throw something in bad about the doctor because they resent that.
Right.
So just to let you know about that.
Anyway, bad reviews are always written by really bad, disgruntled people. Usually, the good reviews are written by people who would, or usually good people who are properly fixed and they're walking away happy. Never write reviews, and that's the sad thing, you know. But
I know.
if you get pissed off or something, yeah, then you're gonna write about it and stuff. So who knows? Who knows? But
Well, reviews today, I guess they could kill you or not. You know,
yeah,
the Google reviews and Yelp. But
yeah.
and,
But that's the power, though. That's the power of what you were saying earlier about word of mouth advertising. You know, like tell your friends, tell your neighbors. You know, everybody's suffering pain in some way, or they're going to in some way. I mean, it's only a matter of time.
yeah,
You know, so talk about it to folks. You know,
yeah.
uh,
The only way to know is make your own decision.
yeah,
You go in and people are so happy with us, constantly bringing us food, cookies and pizza. You know,
yeah,
cake, homemade this, homemade that, even fresh eggs from their chickens.
right,
You know, they love us down there, and that's the first thing they say. Your staff is just so
yeah.
compassionate, so sweet. They take care of you, and they do. Some guy went to the bathroom the other day, couldn't barely make it, and didn't even make it to the toilet.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
you know what happens when
Yeah,
that happened. I mean, it was all over the bathroom.
yeah.
You know, who cleans that up? You know, we don't call clean up over the loudspeaker. Male bathroom cleanup, male, but no, the
Oh,
nurses, the technicians, everybody goes in there, and they had to help this guy to the point where they gave him a pair of the scrubs,
scrubs. Yeah, yeah.
shirt, and everything, and
Took care of the
took
bathroom,
care.
disinfected, took care of the patient, you know,
Yeah,
cleaned them up. Yeah,
you don't
that's
hear any reviews like that.
yeah. And I didn't hear a grumble from anybody. You know,
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about it. They go in and it's just part of the job, you know,
and
taking care of the
especially
patient.
nurses are trained that way.
Yeah.
You know, and my nurses, some of them have been out of the field like that. You know, cleaning people's problems in the bed in the hospital
Yeah.
for 25 years or longer, and they
Yeah.
haven't done it, but they jump right into what they're supposed to do and what they've been trained to do.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to do it? Me? I don't even know how to do
I don't know either, you
that.
know. But it's nothing to sniff at.
Yeah. Well, talk about that. I remember my first year of surgical residency,
Yeah.
and it's amazing how today is so different.
Yeah.
And I talked to a doctor that came and we got the inspection. By the way, thank you very much. Remember this note about when I was a surgical because we're going to forget that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got to put a word out there to everybody in my practice, especially Michelle, Gabriella, Nicole, Nancy, everybody that works in the surgery center and who doesn't work in the surgery center that took up the slack. We had AAAHC inspection came yesterday and the day before, and it appears that we passed.
Oh, brilliant.
And it was so tough that Michelle didn't even go to sleep
Yeah.
the other night. She stayed up all night. Got up around 6 o'clock. She went home, took a shower, came right back. And then the guy showed up, the doctor who was an anesthesiologist, seemed like a great guy.
Yeah.
He worked with us. He said everything was great. Everybody worked. Everything did everything beautifully. And thanks to the experience and the hard working of my crew.
Yeah.
Especially Michelle. I mean, Michelle, she's in charge of that.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time she did this. And there's always some stuff that they actually changed the rules. And so we're going by the rules that nobody tells us that they changed. Little stuff, like CO2 monitoring of anesthesia, which you never had to do that. But now it's a new rule that came out probably a month ago. We didn't know about it. And he's letting us know about it. And he could technically fail you for that. But no, he let us know. And he said, do you promise that you're going to start doing it? Absolutely. If it's statistically safer for the patient, we're going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're here for the patient. So anyway, I was talking about when I was a surgical resident.
Surgical emergency. Yeah.
And I was talking to this doctor. We happened to be talking a little bit after, just before he left, about, he's around my age, and he did the residency around the time I did mine. And we and kind of like the things that Dr. Snyder talked about, how today the ones that are graduating compared to the old days,
Yeah.
there's no experience.
Yeah.
And you got to treat them with kid gloves. You got to apologize. You can't reprimand them. He was talking about you can't reprimand them. He's a
Yeah.
couple of times they were, they used to drill us in front of 25, 30 doctors in morning rounds or in tumor board or something. We had the conferences in the morning.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know it, they'll make you look like an idiot.
Right.
You do that today, the doctor making you look like an idiot gets in trouble.
Yeah.
And they got to actually apologize, he said. I'm not in the academic field right now, so I teach doctors that really want to learn what I do. And sometimes I bust their chops if they don't know stuff.
Right.
But they got no administrator to go complain, to yell at me to apologize to.
Right.
And today, it's because I'm independent.
Because that's it though. Like we're going to start seeing new generations of doctors that are coming from the everyone's a winner school, elementary school, and all of that, like where we've been mollycoddling the kids, and dodgeball's not a sport in school anymore because it's too rough, and everybody's a winner. No one lost this game. We're all winners now. That's the doctors we're going to start seeing pumping out.
When I first went to Italy,
yeah,
I did their last year of undergraduate school. Then I went to medical school in Italy. Most people listen to me know this, and here I am. I was very competitive in any sport, and any American, especially at the time, might be different today. Any American, you play to win,
right?
Competitive, and you play to win. Well, I was at the beach one time, beautiful beach down in like the Italian Riviera on the Adriatic side, across from Yugoslavia at the time, right? And it was a beautiful beach, small town, and they were playing this game, and I can't remember how they played the game. It was almost like they kind of threw the ball, and you had to jump a certain distance.
Yeah,
and the way it was, and I was like, I'm gonna beat these guys. I'm gonna jump the furthest.
Sure, yeah.
And I jumped. A couple of people jumped.
Yeah.
Like I was like the third out of 5 or 6 of us, and then I jumped, and I was like a foot and a half further than all of them. They said, "Okay, you're out." I was like, "What do you mean?" "Oh, well, the game is that the person who's left is the one that kind of jumped the least." I was like, "What are you talking about? So the loser wins?" They said, "Well, we don't look at it that way." I said, "Well, I look at it that way.
Yes.
It's who jumps the furthest wins, right?"
Right.
"Oh, no, we don't do that here." I said, "You know what? You play your game."
Right.
I said, I'm gonna go have a drink."
So if you just fall over, you won?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you exactly how it was, but it was like, I was like, what? What kind of game is this?
Right.
The losers win? And that's what it's becoming today.
That's what it's become.
In the United States,
yeah, man.
But let me go back to the story.
Yeah.
You kind of did things almost you winged it a lot of times. And like, for example, I show up to work, and the senior resident says to me, he goes, "Listen, you got to go to that room so-and-so. There's an elderly lady there that has Alzheimer's disease, and she's impacted." I was so new, I don't even know what the word impacted meant.
Right.
And you have to disimpact her.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, okay, I'll do whatever I got to do. And the nurse, if you have any questions, the nurse will, answer your questions. So they all left, and I went to the nurse. I said, "Excuse me, what does this mean?" And she starts laughing. She goes, "Come with me." And you actually had to put your hand and disimpact the person that had such bad constipation that they were worried about, perforating the intestines.
Ah, Jesus.
And I mean, this is the kind of stuff we did as first year surgical residents. So it wasn't just the nurses doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
That's what the topic of that conversation was.
Yeah.
But well, I think we're having so much fun in this.
I know. Yeah.
So much to talk about that I think we went over the limit here.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We're right on there. Yeah.
What time is it?
It's 11:04. Yeah. All right. Well, we had a great show. I think. Yeah, that was fun. Show. Yeah. So it's
we don't tell anybody where we are.
We're gonna do that. Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, who are these people we're listening to? And we don't even know who they are."
Well, if you wanna go to the Jasper Spine Institute, it's located on 74 Brick Boulevard, building number 3, right behind the Roy Rogers. And if you want to call and make an appointment, it's 732-262-0700. And for more information about Dr. Gabriele Jasper and all the wonderful things we talk about on our show, please go to jaspermd.com. You can contact us through there as well.
And this was live on Spotify.
It's going to be a podcast on Spotify in 2 seconds after we stop.
2 seconds.
Yeah,
But we were live on Facebook, right?
We're live on Facebook and YouTube.
And tomorrow morning you're gonna hear the radio.
Yeah, you're gonna hear it on 104.1 FM Cat Country.
Okay. And also AM, right? But they don't do
Yeah,
AM.
yeah, it'll be on the AM channel too.
Yeah. Which too bad neither of us remember what the
I think it was
10 something,
11:13, something
11,
like that.
Yeah, 11 something. Well, what's the name of the station? Google it.
Yeah, I think they're just calling it Cat Country AM now. So
yeah, so you could check us out on here. But the office is in Bricktown. You can see it's right across the street from Burlington Coal Factory. Now you got
that's right.
Stop and Shop there, and you have my new gym, which is what's the name of the gym over there?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, it's Planet Fitness.
As you can plainly see.
Planet Fitness. I'm sitting there working out the other day. Planet Fitness. I look up, it says they have some kind of grunt alarm. Like if you're grunting too loud,
yeah,
it goes off.
Really?
And I think they might throw you out.
Oh my God.
If you drop the weights too hard, the thing goes off. That's why a lot of people don't want to go there.
Oh wow.
But I think it's just it's just a marketing strategy. I was thinking about grunting real loud the other day and see if it worked. I'll do that today. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
We didn't have any crazy stories for you today, but hopefully next time we'll have some good stories about. We'll be in the Gabe Jasper book one of these days.
That's right.
And thank you very much.